Welcome, NIRSA. My name is Dr. Wendy Windsor. I am your current NIRSA president and director of campus recreation at Tulane University. I am excited to introduce the second of my recording series, Hidden Talents of NIRSA. Today's theme is Black Excellence. So I am honored to have four very distinguished Black women leaders on their institutions. And in a second, I will have each of them introduce themselves. But, you know, the goal of today is really to share the hidden talent of being a Black woman in leadership, and that it is a skill set in itself to achieve the accomplishments that you're going to hear each of us talk about today. So I'm very, very, very excited to have you really become more educated on how unique it is to really walk in the shoes of Black women in leadership, and just really kind of hear about how we have to navigate the workplace a little bit different. So with that being said, I am actually going to have each of the guests introduce themselves, and then we'll hop into some conversation and dialogue. So Felicia, we'll start with you.
Sure. I'm Felicia Tittle. I'm the Executive Director of Recreation and Physical Education with Duke University, and I've been here next month. I actually make 13 years.
Thank you. Sheena?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Serita. I was like, oh. Hello, everyone. Sheena Harvey, currently serving as the Director of Fitness and Recreational Sports at the University of Nevada, Reno. I've actually been on this campus since 2002, but I've been serving as Director for the last 3 years.
Thank you. And now Serita.
Hello, everyone. I am Serita Porter, Assistant Athletic Director at Lincoln University over Wellness and Recreational Services. I have been here for 1 year.
And last but not least, Natasha.
Hi, everybody. I'm Natasha Johnson, Assistant Athletic Director for Recreation here at Northern Illinois University. I've been with NIU since 2014 and in this role for almost 3 years.
Right. Thank you, ladies. And so, like I said, today is really about Black excellence and really helping really kind of define a little bit more what that means to us. So for the purpose of today's conversation and our time together today, will one or two of you be willing to share in your own words, what does Black excellence mean?
All right, I'll take that one. Black excellence, I think it's loaded and it's beautiful. I think when I think about it in the sense of who I am and where I am in my career today, it's being the first. It's being a change agent within and without and outside of my campus community. You know, getting opportunities in places and spaces and showing up authentically as myself, but also too unapologetically. There's a lot of times where we're navigating institutions and spaces, and there's not a lot of folks that look like us, gender-wise, but also too racially. So there's this strategic way that you kind of have to navigate to kind of show yourself without being arrogant or being too much of yourself, to kind of show up to the table, have something to say. If there's not enough room at the table, you're pulling up your own seat. So Black excellence in the sense is grounded in, I think, a lot of the core values that you may have gotten from your family and your values and such like that. But at that same time, it's getting that opportunity to get those little key things that you learn, whether it be in the classroom, outside of the classroom, and applying that to your life, applying that to your family, applying that to your circles, your networks, and really kind of just exuding this excellence that people need to feel and people need to see. So when I think about it in the sense of what we're going to be talking about today, to me, that's Black excellence.
I'll chime in. I think I'm looking at Black excellence as I look at the screen. I think you all are the epitome of that. As I think about that, though, I think about, you know, when people think of Black excellence, they think about our ability to persevere, to deal with the micro and the macro aggressions. And I think we're these awesome superheroes, which in fact, I think we are, but I think in a realistic way, we need to think about self-care and what that looks like, and to how do we manage ourselves. To Sheena's point, showing up authentically, because I think when you don't show up that way, there's a lot that you lose within you. So how do you how does Black excellence look like outside of the workplace? How are you taking care of you? If you're a caregiver, if you're a mother or whatever you are, what does that look like for you in terms of self-care?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Felicia, and I think I want to take a minute to dive into that a little bit because I know for me, and I'm sure it's similar with all of us, like we're always the level of expectations for us is significantly greater, right? We have to come in, we have to be more, we have to do more, we have to achieve more, but yet, we want to be authentic, but sometimes our authenticity can come across as either assertive, right? And so we have to balance that out. I mean, I know, we always trench when we hear the concept of the angry Black woman, right? And the way we show up in spaces does have to be, we have to be strategic, right? In order to avoid that stereotype. So knowing all this, I do want us to take a minute to talk about, we have to show up this way. We have to do better. We have to be the best in order to get that same type of recognition, same type of respect, same type of value that some of our other colleagues, they just simply don't have to think about. And so the fact that we have to think about this on a daily basis, how do each of you find time to take care of yourself, right? How do you find time for that space to really make sure that you are able to show up in that authentic self?
Well, I have a question. So have you all seen that video that they keep playing it over and over? It's a meme now with Deion Sanders. And he's saying, do you think I care what you think about me? Have you seen that? And I've thought about that a lot because what I realize is that so I do try to take care of myself. To answer your question directly, Wendy, I try to work out and I make time. I block my schedule off now intentionally. But I was going to say, I am not an angry person. For you all that know me, I'm not angry. But what I realized, as much as I tried to scale back and show up not in that space, and that's not who I am, people still thought that about me. And so I got to a point I'm in my career where it doesn't matter. If you think I'm angry, we need to work through that offline, right? I can't let me figure out how to, as long as I know me, Dion, if you're out there somewhere, as long as I'm clear about who I am. So but I do believe in self-care, ladies. I just wanted to throw that out there and in there because I think there's a lot of people who may be looking like, how do I manage that? I don't know if you can manage that. I don't know if you can. I'm not an angry person, but if I don't smile and step and fetch, so I think you have to come into your own.
Felicia, can I piggy and take some tidbits that you said in terms of managing other people's expectations? First of all, I think self-care is required for balance, being able to balance the pressures. But what you said hit on something that I discuss in my Dimensions of Wellness course in terms of knowing what we can manage. And other people's expectations is not something that we can manage. So controlling the things that we can. And in class, I often talk about our bodies as a car, in terms of a comparison, and how, our body needs start and stop periods. Our bodies need fuel for gasoline, and how we fuel impacts our performance. And so for self-care, which is necessary to be able to balance, if we're constantly idling high, we're going to blow a gasket. And that could be, that can affect our health mentally, physically, emotionally. So the balance is needed. It is needed to be able to establish boundaries and in order to prioritize ourselves. We can't pour from an empty cup. And so and those periods of times, the dose, the duration, when it happens, how it happens, it doesn't have to be one particular way. It could be 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, or a day. there. So we get to determine that. But I think when we are able to balance, it helps us to, it aids our ability to be able to show up and to in the spaces where it's a requirement in order for us to be Black and excellent in our Blackness, in our being, in who we are. It's just a necessary component.
I agree. I kind of want to jump on the self-care real quick too. I definitely agree that we have to do whatever we need to do to take care of ourselves. And the things that I found that work best for me are, you know, I have my son, he works out a lot, so we have a treadmill, a bike, and all that at home because I was trying to work out at work, but everybody needs you when you're working out. So I used to write when to live on the board so I could be around. And then I thought too, like with the work from home and all of these different things, for me, it actually worked even better to be in the office because I started leaving my laptop. It's like when I'm gone, that's it. I was on a volleyball tournament group, and then I got the bowling going. So I couldn't stay longer, even if I really wanted to, because other people are waiting for me. So those are different things. Like I make dates with my grandson, like, oh, let me go pick him up and do this because I want to be a person of my word. And so honestly, it helps me and the rest of my team to know you can handle what needs to be handled. You know, if there's a fire in the building, just call me to tell me don't come tomorrow. Like at the end of the day, we all are professionals in our field, and the more that we can give trust and let people know, like, hey, you can make this decision, you make the best decision you can at the time the incident happens, and then we'll deal with it when I'm back. So that has been tremendously helpful for me in my mental health and self-care.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing. And you know, let's talk about, you know, what it means to be a professional in this field a little bit more. And you know, all of us have been able in probably our own unique ways, right, of getting to where we are the leaders within our different departments. And I know for me, my journey wasn't an easy journey. It definitely when I say that it's a skill set, right, that you really have to develop to get to where we are. So are any of you willing to share, you know, how as Black women we have to navigate that may be a little bit different, or maybe something that others don't know? If you could take a few minutes to talk about that.
I can take that one. For me, and it's different. I have a unique experience. I've been at the same institution since I was a student. So there's been this place and space of being a student and transitioning into a professional, and people not seeing you as a student anymore and things like that. So I think in the sense of this, as you're navigating this leadership piece, I think there has to be this skill set learned to shift less. So shifting less, so showing up, as I said before, as your authentic self, and you're not changing who you are when you're going to meet with these folks, or you're invited to this dean, director, you know, VP level meeting. You're not shifting who you are to be in that place and space. So I think it's super important to know that you're showing up with the intersections of your identities as well too. So like once again, being the only one or the first. So it just kind of just takes this place of like giving yourself some grace if you do end up saying the wrong thing, or you ask the wrong question, or everybody's just looking at you like, who invited her? Like, why is she here? Right. So getting into this thing of knowing that you're there because you're supposed to be there. And I'm bringing God into it because God wouldn't have put me there if I wasn't supposed to be there. So it's just one of those things of navigating as a professional, as a Black woman professional. It's just different, especially if it's in a predominantly white setting. And we talked about it in the last discussion of you have to watch what you say and how you say it. You can't be too direct because that's aggressive, right? So I think it just takes this time. I mean, I journal, I voice memo journal, I reflect a lot. So I think that helps me as an individual, just to make sure that I'm showing up as me, but also too that in showing up with the business, and like, I know what I'm talking about. I've gone to school, I know these things. So you need to respect me as well too. So
I also want to reflect a little bit on what, you know, Felicia said in her opening comment, because when I first started to move up in leadership, and I've pretty much always been at predominantly white institutions, and so in the white spaces, and And when I first walked in, I was timid, right? And so I had to work on myself to get that confidence. And so, the next thing is like, you know what, if I'm not gonna be invited to the table, to Felicia's point, right? I got that chair and I made sure now I'm at the table. But then I didn't stop there. When I got to the table, I'm like, okay, now you need to speak up. And so when I would walk into the room, I'm like, all right, who's leading this meeting? I'm going to make sure I sit right next to them. And I am going to speak up when I need to speak up. So it was definitely a progression for me, and something that I'm still, I'm not going to say perfecting, but getting better with along the way. So, yeah.
Great.
Anyone else?
I'll add, just saying that coming from the University of Delaware, a PWI to an HBCU, and often I think my personality is to observe, so I tend to kind of stay behind, not laxing in leadership, but being an observer. And there was a particular period, of course, during COVID where it was just trying for all of us. That period forced me out of the shadows, and I had to voice things that other people were not required to consider. When we show up, we're sometimes blind to the privilege that we have. And so being one of few persons of color there in the campus recreation space, with other people who just show up and be who they are, I was forced to just be courageous enough and begin speaking up and speaking out, not just on my behalf, but it was really, for the students, and just for the work morale and environment. And it was tough, but I want to believe that it led to the growth and the opportunities that I have right now. So sometimes I believe we are forced, applying God to these situations. He'll make us uncomfortable, I think, sometimes, especially in my situation, that forces me to not keep silent when I want to. And that makes room for growth.
Yeah, Felicia, I may put you on the spot just a little bit, because
Sure.
we've been at this for a while now, and being at an institution like Duke that is known for both, of course, academics but athletics as well, and being that you have to navigate that athletic space, is there anything additional that you can share out that may have been like a challenge for you or something that we haven't touched on just yet?
I think for me, it was really important creating some really strategic relationships across campus, because Duke the athletic program is very strong. And so if we were not careful, I mean, it took us some time to build the program clearly, but if we were not careful, recreation can get lost just because of the fact that it's really so successful. So you're sharing these spaces with men's basketball, football, I mean, so many sports. And so being really strategic about forming relationships really helped me, not just in the athletic space, but student affairs and the academic space. And then really looking at how I would develop my staff and myself professionally. That really did help, doing some outside, because, I think for the longest time here, many of the people were here when I came here was really athletic focused. So you had kind of the old school way, as many of you all know, like old coaches who they thought could do the work, and not that they could not, but things change and evolve. The profession has definitely evolved over time. So, the professional development pieces were key. The relationships I built throughout campus, and then really focusing on as I've been here for a while, I really focus on what I like to do outside of here. Because Duke is just one part of, I mean, if you got to know me, I'm so much more than this. Like, this is just a piece of who I am, right? The work. And so as I have matured in age, what I recognize is that what I like to do outside of here is probably a lot more important than the work I do inside, the volunteerism that I do, to help the communities that I'm a part of, whether that's Black, female, So I think all those things, focusing on what you like outside of here, building that network of people. I consider many of you to be a part of that network. I think that's important, because sometimes you need that ear, and building networks on your campus.
Yeah, and that's a good segue, you know, to knowing who our audience is right now. You know, we have hopefully a lot of our up and coming leaders, both male and females, that are taking the opportunity to listen to this today. And the question I would propose is what advice, right, would you give anyone that is looking to achieve either excellence, you know, for themselves or, you know, at the institutions that they currently are?
Yeah, I mean, I can start with that. I would definitely say, I hear strategic being thrown around a lot, which is the same for me, intentionality, making sure that I understand like other people's roles as well. Like, is this someone that could be an ally later? I mean, treating people with respect. And even if you're super busy and you don't have time, understanding like, should I make time? Because could this lead to something else later? You know, we all, you know, is not no such thing as hours or limited hours in rec. We open all the time. There's always something going on. And so for me, it's being intentional about what I say yes to. And then also, you know, on the same token, what I'm saying no to, because if it's not aligning to what I need to do, even if it's not me, if I can find somebody else on my team that can help and assist, because we may need these people later, whether it's athletics, student affairs. We were just doing some additional collaborations when we were doing our rec fest. We asked people to come out and table our open house. We got like the highest numbers we had gotten in a while. And so in general, like you can't just look at a situation and just say, oh, you know, no, I'm not going to do this. You have to be strategic about it to say like, how is this going to help us get to where we want to be as a whole department, not just as Natasha, but as recreation as a whole. So people understand what we're doing. Do we need to offer some things for free? Do we need to, that's another part of showing up and being excellent at what you do, like already having a benchmark of what I'm going to accept, like not only from my team, but from myself. What am I going to accept? So then that way, when I'm in these spaces at the table, I feel comfortable speaking. I feel comfortable speaking up. And even if they're hard conversations, a lot of times they're just conversations that have to be spoken. You know, being elected as the president of the operating staff council, which is great for me because it's like if I have to bring up hard conversations, the people elected me to do so. It's not whether I want to bring it up or not. We have to get to the bottom of these things and how will we move forward. So at the end of the day, for me, it's everything about how we move forward. What can we do to make things better in the future? We may have issues today, but we're moving past that, right? We're looking to move forward. So how do we do that collaboratively with as many people across campus as possible?
Natasha, I would have to agree with you on that intentionality and being strategic. When I think about being in this space that I'm in, going from a PWI to an HBCU, in one that is under athletics, both models were under athletics, but here trying to establish a vision for campus recreation based on what we know to be the benefits to those who are engaged in campus recreation. Strategic partnerships have been an instrumental part of me figuring it out. The connection, because this building is a shared space, number one, I just consistently show up and be present, acknowledge the different partnerships that I have to maintain and balance, prioritizing. And then I believe here, for me, it is softly introducing people versus like waterboarding, because I'm so task oriented. You know, I have to pull myself back sometimes. It's like, okay, slow down, small doses, and speaking a new language, introducing a new language in terms of the benefits of campus recreation, but in a way that talks not only about this space, but how it benefits the students, thus the institution. And that has allowed me to be invited in to speak about what I'm knowledgeable of, what I'm passionate about, and how I can support the institution. And so for me, it's been showing up, and then like the persistence and most importantly, giving myself the grace and the forgiveness when, I could have worded that differently or something. It didn't go as intended, acknowledging intent and impact and how that differs, given that I'm trying to do something new in a new environment and everyone doesn't know me in the way that some might, but not wanting to come off in a way that, pushes people off. So just consistently showing up and trying, for me, that's the advice I give, and that's the advice I give to, myself, just to show up and put forth that effort and allow myself the grace.
Yeah, Serita, that's wonderful. I think, the ability to give ourselves the grace, right? The ability to say, it's okay to make the mistake and fail forward, right? Learn from every mistake, and the ability to just be resilient and not give up, I think is really ultimately why the 5 of us are sitting in the seats that we're sitting, and while we are able to hopefully motivate others to achieve the level of excellence as Black women that we've achieved today. So I definitely appreciate, just this opportunity to really speak with you all. And before I let everyone go, I definitely want our audience to get to know each of you a little bit more. So similar to the first recording, I have a rapid question session that I want to do really quickly. So, most of you, some people are familiar with your roles and who you are within NIRSA, but this is just a little fun moment that we're going to take with each other. So that being said, I do have a couple of questions, scripted questions that I will ask each of you. And if the first thing that comes to your mind, if you can think of, and then we'll just kind of make that happen. So first question, and we will start with Sheena. Biggest accomplishment?
Just successfully defended my dissertation on August 29th. And with that, I got to do research on Black college women who are first-gen low income. So I think that is my biggest accomplishment recently.
Yes, awesome. Natasha?
Yeah, graduating college in general, first gen student, and have graduated multiple times. So that's a huge accomplishment for me.
All right. Serita?
Dissertation proposal.
All right.
Yes, and Felicia?
Yep, being a great daughter. My mother is a caregiver for her older sister, and so I'm a caregiver for them both. So the having the opportunity to be that person that can help has been extraordinary. Learning experience, but extraordinary.
Love it. So proud of the doctors and doctors to be on this call as well. So let's continue that great work. All right, next question. We'll go reverse order. So Felicia, you're up first. What is a talent, hobby, skill set that many of us don't know about Felicia?
I like to DJ.
Yeah.
And my handle is Dr. DJ. So if you ever looking for somebody to rock your party, your brunch, anything,
Yes.
email me. Yes,
Yeah.
love it.
DJ.
Dr. DJ, I love it.
I see you writing it down, Serita. That's right.
Sure did.
Yeah.
All right, Serita, you're up.
I make soap. I'm a soap maker. Yeah, that's started by way of me having sensitive skin and not wanting to buy what's on the shelf. And now it has become a part of my LLC.
Nice. All right, Natasha.
Yep, I say I have the ability to recall conversations, and if I say numbers, I say them out loud. It can be like 7 years ago, and I can give you the exact number.
Wow.
All right. Finishes up, Sheena.
I don't know if it counts, but I can throw down on the grill, y'all. I mean, I was born
It does count.
I was born in Kansas City, so like I have no choice. But just y'all listen, Dr. Tittle, she DJ and I'm queuing. So
Hey,
There it is.
yeah,
I'm picking plates up.
I'm telling on myself, but I have a big birthday coming up next year, so I think I done got me someone to go DJ. So hey, let's do this.
And Serita could make the soap. We can get clean before we come. So hey, look.
There it is.
Yeah, I could sing too. I don't know what that. Yeah, I
Yes.
can.
We got it all. We got it all. So, all right, two more questions before I let everyone go. So, what would we always talk about Black girl magic, right? So, if I was to say to the four of you, one word, how would you sum up Black girl magic? What would you say? And Natasha, we'll start with you.
I don't know if I can do one word, but I'm making something out of nothing.
Okay. Hey, that counts. So one phrase then. There we go. We're going to extend it a little bit. All right, Serita, you're up.
Adapting.
Love it. Yes. Felicia.
I don't know if I blurred out something. I think mythical. That's the word I think of.
And that's intriguing.
Very.
Yep. And then Sheena.
You know, the room changes when we walk in.
Ooh, that's it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, that was almost a mic drop right there. All right, and the last question, most influential person. And Serita, we'll start with you.
Personally, will definitely be my mother, and then professionally, I'll say a group, and it's been NIRSA. You all literally, and I'm not being, lofty, but the influence from each of you in individual ways has impacted me. So yeah.
Felicia?
I will say professionally and personally, my mom.
Right. Sheena?
Oh, goodness. Let's see. Professionally, I haven't met her yet, but Michelle Obama. I think she's just everything. And personally, I'd say it's a tie between my grandmother and my mom. Those two.
Yep. All right, Natasha finishes up.
Yeah, I'm going with Jesus. Both professionally, personally. You ain't want to know me without him. Like, he has significantly changed my life. And I believe, like what Felicia said at the beginning, the work is something we do. It's not who I am. It's not who we are. We are more than what we do. And I wouldn't have figured that out without him.
Well, thank you.
Well, that's a mic drop right there, Wendy.
Right.
Yeah.
Let the church say amen.
Yes. So I have been inspired. I hope everyone that is listening has been inspired. A lot of Black girl magic. I love it. That's carried this out throughout this year. Thank you, NIRSA, for chiming in on us today. Next episode will be coming out in October. So I'm very excited to be able to bring that one to you as well. But until then, appreciate your time once again. And thank you very much. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.